Hello everyone and welcome to another Uncomplication. My name is Ryan and on this channel I dig into some of the biggest questions searching for simplicity in this crazy modern world. Now, as many of you know, cryptocurrency has been a huge passion of mine lately, so much so that I've co-founded an entire community with the sole mission of growing humanity through crypto. That's the Crypto Garden. You can follow that YouTube channel. You can also go to thecryptogarden.io if you're interested in joining our community, where I am daily posting updates and analysis along with many other master gardeners who are experts in the space. In the meantime, I will continue to post crypto content on Uncomplication as we transition into bigger topics, more guests, more perspectives that help us find uncomplication in our lives. Let's get to today's video. Thanks for joining me. Hello cats and kitties, welcome to another Uncomplication. It's Friday. We're going to do another little market look-in. We're going to take a look at the total crypto market, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, maybe a couple others. And I have a prediction that I am pretty confident on. I think Luna is set to take off. So yeah, let's stick around, see if Luna jumps. And here we go. All right, let's get down to business. So I am going to try and make these short and sweet so that you can get what you need to feel confident and calm, cool, and collected, and then get back to your life. So I'm going to start with the zoomed out view of the total crypto market cap. So these are all the projects in the space: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Litecoin, XRP, everything rolled into one chart. And if we take this zoomed out perspective, again, when in doubt, zoom out, we see a story of a class of assets that has been moving up and to the right, and quite staggeringly so. From even, what was this, March of 2020, when we had the COVID financial scare worldwide, up to the present moment, we have seen depending on where you pick the peak, if we go to the all-time high here, up to 2,264% growth in just over 400 days. So up and to the right is what crypto has been doing. And it's kind of funny to make a video like this where we're going to be scrutinizing this little point in time. And I know that a lot of people can get really sucked into that price movement day to day, minute to minute. It's a roller coaster ride, but when you zoom out and you just see this this mountainside going up and up and up, that gives me a lot of confidence that I can pay less attention. Because do you remember when we were all watching this moment right here? Do you remember that? How about this one? Do you remember? No, probably not. Probably not that important in the long-term scale. Even though price went down, if you sold here, you were probably pretty cranky when price was at $60,000. And even if you bought at the market cycle peak in January 2018, you're still up on your crypto, so long as you didn't get scared into selling it. So with that zoomed out picture, let's now dive in. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, and let's go to a weekly chart, and let's make a few observations. So I've heard so many people in the last week refer to this recent price action as a flash crash. And it's actually kind of annoying to hear that kind of language, because it makes it sound like it is, it makes it sound like it's unpredictable, or that it is, something that happened kind of randomly or out of left field. When what I see is, and especially here on the total crypto market, so check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of price appreciation that will bring on selling pressure, where people who have been building their positions, setting up their longs and watching as price grows by 112%, 110% over the course of 7 weeks. This is where smart traders are taking profits, and those are the moves that really drive how this market sets up for its next move. And even if we believe in the narrative of Bitcoin going to $100,000 or $1 million or whatever, you still have to remember that this is a market that is being actively traded on timescales ranging from a few minutes to a few weeks. And so at every step, there are people who are buying here and selling here, and that overall effect is what is driving these price fluctuations. So when we see 7 weeks of price appreciation, it shouldn't be a flash crash. It's not like this was something at a left field. These are good traders looking at these very obvious levels. In this case, we came right into the 0.618 all the way up to about the 0.702 Fibonacci retracements. These are areas of extreme resistance that can then be turned into support once we get on top of them. But as a trader looking at, coming all the way back up, breaking back through these key moving averages, and then coming into these resistance zones, I don't think this has anything to do with El Salvador. I don't think this has to do with anything that was said on Twitter. I think that this is a movement of the market that is to be expected. And if you look at how well it respects these technicals, we flash crashed, but we came right down on top of this bull market support band. This is made up of the 20-week simple moving average and the 21-week exponential moving average. This is a key band of support for a market. And what does support mean? It means that the price regularly comes back down and finds support at that level. That's not witchcraft. That is people who know how to trade setting up their buying orders at these levels, because a market moves and it comes back down, and people set their buys at these key levels of support, and they set their take profits as we climb into these key areas of resistance. So this move that we just had up to this, very important and meaningful 0.618, and then coming back down and finding support on that bull market support band, this is what we expect to see. So I just want to say that because if you're following the YouTube narrative and everything just feels like we've got this wide open ceiling and we're going to 1 million, and then when we buy in with that expectation, we put $50,000 in the market because we think we're just going to double it in a couple weeks, and then the price turns around and goes the other way. You also have to remember that at these moments when prices are reaching a local top, that is when the news is the most exciting, because no one is going to buy a $53,000 Bitcoin unless they're expecting it to go to $70,000 shortly thereafter. And so another place that I really encourage you bookmark, you're always checking in with, is the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. And it's fun to look at that we are now in fear. We're at a 46. We're actually in fear as a market. And if you take a look at this one day, we went from a 79, which is extreme greed, down to a 47, which is fear. So here at a 79, extreme greed, that means that YouTube is talking this huge bullish picture. We're getting, tweets and news articles and all of this hype around, how we're breaking out and we're going to the moon again, and then back down to the fear. So one of the things that I've been doing lately, and it's been really helpful, is to actually separate myself from the technicals of just the price movement and get more anchored into the psychology of the market. And so what I have been doing is that when the market is in fear, I'm increasing my DCA buys. And when the fear and greed index swings into greed or extreme greed, that's when to start taking profits. Because things don't stay in extreme greed forever, because the smart money and good investors are taking profits when other people are FOMOing in and buying something at a local top. So I encourage you to bookmark this, to come and check in. If you see that the market is in fear, that's a good indication that it is de-risked to buy. And if it's in extreme greed, well, you really got to check yourself, and you have to think, are you making this crypto purchase because you think that asset is going to double in the next week? And if so, is that really the best mindset to be in? Because that's what I think ties people to this wheel of up and down. And if you bought here with that anticipation and you FOMO'd in with a huge amount, and then immediately the price goes down by 25%, that's terrifying. That's what gets people to sell. That's what kind of kicks off these next accumulation ranges. and it's just part of this cycle of the market. Real quick, let's just check in with our trusty rusty Wyckoff accumulation and distribution picture. So I've been looking into this quite a bit. I've had a number of people reach out to me that were pointing out that we have seen distribution structures in this range that are quite characteristic of Wyckoff distribution, similar to what we saw in February through March and April. And it's not one-to-one. If I grab, and I think I have them over here, this is the chart pattern from earlier in the year when we entered our distribution, and I can kind of move it and resize it and see if I can get it to fit here. It's not quite a one-to-one, but no Wyckoff pattern is the same. It really is a snowflake, and it's something where after you have enough movement, you can kind of look in and say, okay, like a snowflake, this was a distribution. But the thing is, there's a difference between a distribution event that's happening from a $30,000 spring up to a $53,000 local top below an all-time high, and a distribution event that happened after a 500% markup, like we saw back here, coming out of COVID. So let's just go from the 9,000 up to the local top. This is 560% increase. The point is that the smart money or the accumulators in this range over, and this is coming out of the last bull run. So this is 3 or 4 years worth of accumulation. They're all in the same boat when it comes to the cause that has been built to take our price up by 600%. And then everyone at that point is kind of on board to get into a distribution over 3 months and have that play out. And so those interests, that composite man, are a lot more in alignment in their overall objectives when we're coming from a bear market bottom up to a new all-time high. It's a lot less certain when we are looking at an accumulation range that is still quite a bit up off the ground, as it were, above the fair market value of Bitcoin. Oops. So that we're still kind of hanging out here in no man's land. And was this cause enough to really build a case for us to go up to new all-time highs? I don't know. It remains to be seen. But my point is, we can't just look and say, all right, this is Wyckofian, this was a distribution, therefore we're going to break down lower. At the end of a range, it will either be an accumulation or a distribution, because there's always those two parties at play, the buyers and the sellers. And to me, it is less about, for me personally, it is less about being a master trader using Wyckoff's methods, and it's more the knowledge that it has given me about how this market is moved and how it is moving under the interests of these smart money participants that have objectives. They're running campaigns. They're trying to get the most for their investment by duping or fleecing the retail traders. And the news cycle follows this, and the fear and greed index follows this. So that's kind of my point here, is that even though we can look at this range and say, okay, there was some Wyckofian price action, it doesn't tell us where we're going next, because we don't know at this point what the interests of the market are. I think we did know that back in this range, because it was, again, this huge markup. All those interests were in alignment as to what their objectives are. And now I think there's a lot more kind of competing players. And so do we have enough cause to really send price up higher? I don't know. But either way, like I said in that zoomed out picture, we're not likely to fall to zero. Crypto is not going to overnight be not worth anything. But I think that we're just going to see more of these market structures develop. We're going to see more buying and selling in these ranges as we find support from buyers at these key levels. We see selling at these key resistance levels. And overall, it'll just be, how long does it take to build enough of a cause to bring us back up to new all-time highs? It could take a month. It could take 3 months. It could take 3 years. At the end of the day, I'm not losing sleep over it, and I hope you're not either. Let's now take a look at Ethereum as promised. And as I said in my last market look-in, I'll go through these rather quickly, but Bitcoin is sort of the driver of the show. It's got the big gravity, so whenever it is moving through its motions, it's kind of tugging on all the others like a large planetary body. So you can see that Ethereum was a little bit farther along on its testing of these Fibonacci levels. Same thing though, we came up to these, had selling pressure, support, more selling pressure. We broke through all the way up on top of the 0.786 and a local top of around $4,000-ish before coming back down along with Bitcoin. I think that in my last update, I was just sort of making the case that a lot of these projects are just in their own snapshot of time of this same basic technical setup that they're all trying to get to if we are to see a continuance of price increase, which is to get up to these Fibonacci zones and build support so that we can have a foundation for a move to the upside. So Bitcoin hadn't got through that yet. We actually are still working through that resistance. Ethereum was a little bit farther ahead. We actually came up out of that zone and now we're kind of back in it, testing. If we look at ADA was even farther ahead. We came up, we found support in this zone, came back up, bounced off our all-time high, and now we're coming back down. So everything is just sort of setting up this next range of trading that will last for however long. But if we can find a good support on top of this level, this is a foundation and a spring for new all-time highs. And you can see here with ADA, I've got the Elliott waves mapped out and my target of around $10,000 for ADA. This might just be a little bit more. You can see these don't just go straight up or down. Even on this wave, we had a number of phases of sideways accumulation, sometimes lasting months and months. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Let's just check in with some of the others that we haven't in a while. I'll just take a look at XRP. So again, from its all-time high, we've been coming back up. We've been hitting this resistance, finding support, but they're all kind of in different timelines of the same story. If we can build some structure in these levels, that's where you can get really bullish about your favorite altcoin. But it bears repeating that altcoins definitely don't live in a vacuum. They are highly dependent on the overall market movement. So you might be watching some beautiful technical setups on smaller projects, but if you're not paying attention to the price of Bitcoin as it reaches its resistance and support levels, you could be missing some key indicators of whether or not those smaller projects are ready to make their move or whether they have to wait a bit longer. And ultimately, like I've said a number of times here, there is nobody on YouTube, there is nobody really anywhere who is going to tell you definitively, based on any indicator, based on any technicals, any news cycle, whether the price is going to go up or down. So mitigating your risk, making sure that you're not overextended, making sure that you're in a place where just mentally you feel good, you're not getting caught up in the emotions of things, I think is the right place to trade from. There's not a YouTube channel on the interwebs that is going to tell you with certainty how and when or what to buy. So, make good decisions that allow you to be okay whether the price goes up or down. And I think that is just a healthier overall place to be. I was looking, just because we were joking in the beginning about Luna going to the moon, and I guess the price of Luna follows Luna, because amazingly in the last, just today, we have seen a huge jump in Luna price. So we had a 40% increase in Luna price. And if we look on the hourly, when I was making my joke back here, is right when it was kind of starting this upswing. And so here's a great example. And this is something that we were talking about in the crypto garden the other night. A lot of people expressing this feeling of like, it's so hard to see all these missed opportunities and the regret of not buying in, and then dealing with the FOMO when you see something that's already pumping or pumped and you don't know what to do. And it seems like everyone else is a better trader than you. You have friends that are telling you all the gains that they're making. And a lot of us just feel like we're kind of floundering or, hitting, missing. And that feeling is, I think, the feeling that most people feel. Even the traders that will come on YouTube and brag about their trades, they're not showing you the 10 others that they might have lost or all the time it took them to get to be the level of trader they are. So just, being comfortable, being happy with where you're at. Don't treat this like a highway where you're, sitting in 4 lanes of traffic and that far lane starts moving faster, so you get over and you get in that lane, and then that lane slows down, and then the one you were in starts taking off, and so you try and get back over there, and then it slows down. Just find your balance, find your flow. Don't feel like you have to chase everything, and if anything, focus on fewer overall projects, and just get more comfortable with trading those cycles. Buying when things are fearful. Selling when things are greedy, and just moving small amounts, small risk, small gains, but over time I think that's what builds better investors and just a healthier mindset. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you can go into your weekend and just feel a little bit at ease. We took a look at the total crypto market and how it's just the story of an asset class that has been moving up and to the right. This whole moment of time, we can barely even see it on this logarithmic chart. We took a look at Bitcoin and just observed that despite all the news and all the talk about why did the market flash crash, that in reality we're just coming into these predictable technical levels where the tug of war between the buyers and the sellers is what creates the structure that ultimately moves the market. And to not get too swept up in the narrative or get sucked into these moments of extreme FOMO when prices are reaching their local top and the greed is high, but just kind of having that zoomed out holistic picture. And we also talked about altcoins and how a lot of them are just kind of working back into these setups, getting their support underneath them, but that they are all at the overall mercy of the market's moves. And so take a deep breath, relax. You're not trying to make, $1 million overnight. And if you are, good luck to you. So I will leave it at that. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Go outside, get some fresh air, hug your people. Check out thecryptogarden.io if you're interested in that community. And until next time, cheers.